This Saturday, U.S. President George Bush will be in the spotlight as the United States is still the big machinery behind the ups and downs of the economy, right? Now, Bush's agenda will be quite short at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum. He himself will probably look to broaden support from these member countries, and analysts expect he will emerge from Lima with modest gains. But his peers are paying close attention to Barack Obama's moves ahead of the inauguration. Now, Kaushal, something interesting and particular about the APEC meetings is that prior to the opening, there's a lot of speculation and secrecy about what the participants will wear during the traditional family photograph at the conclusion of the talks. And during past APEC meetings, we saw cowboy-style coats in Australia, traditional silk shirts in Vietnam, and ponchos, particularly in Chile. Well, this time we may see vicuña wool clothes, as that is an animal typical of the region. Kaushal?
So what can Latin America offer the Pacific Rim countries economically?
Well, we need to focus on China in this case, Kaushal, because of its sheer size on the one hand, and at the same time on its needs. Because China keeps very close ties with many Latin American countries, especially with those that have a leftist government in control, right? Most of those countries are desperate for cash and jobs, and China wants and needs supports from nations of this bloc. Also, these Latin American countries do not have very strong unions in the job market, and China particularly buys commodities from them. In fact, Chinese President Hu Jintao called this Saturday for a new era of cooperation with Latin America, saying that the world's biggest developing country, China, and the large developing region were a natural fit. He insisted that China and its people are willing to work together with South American and Caribbean countries towards an equal, mutually beneficial and total cooperative partnership. So you see, these words send a strong message to these depressed economies and some hope that China will continue to buy their grain, soy, minerals, energy and other products. Kaushal?
Yeah, and President Hu Jintao was just in Cuba meeting with Castro's to talk about free trade, all the free trade agreements that they're working on. So this would be President Bush's probably final trip abroad as president. How is his presence perceived there?
Well, absolutely in a poor way, as you can imagine. First of all, we need to take into account these are leftist countries mostly. At the present time, the governments have those ideas, and Bush is the opposite position. We have two very unpopular wars that are going on with the United States, so they are waiting for him to go. We have to make a distinction, though, that these economies in Latin America particularly benefit from tourism a great deal. So when Americans go to those countries with a lot of cash, they do quite well and they are liked by people, but they make a very clear distinction that they do not like Bush because of what he represents. So they are very happy to see a change now with the new government and what kind of interaction they're going to have with Barack Obama's team and Barack Obama's future days. So they're all following this very, very closely.